G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Economics Mate and welcome to another video here in WoT Blitz. And in today's video we're going to be breaking down everything that you need to know about update 11.3. Boy oh boy, I've been wanting to make this video for a while now, ever since the update sort of news was released. And I have to say, the changes that are coming, I think going to be for the better. I think, and I'm not just the only one that thinks this, there are a couple other Blitz YouTubers out there, like Peter, for instance, who believes that this is going to be a new meta. It's going to be a new meta in Blitz. We're going to have a different sort of feel to the game, and it's going to be good. It's going to be beneficial. So I give Wargaming credit for doing what they can to actually improve the gameplay, especially when it comes to Tier 10, because, I mean, that's really why we're playing, aren't we? To grind our way to Tier 10. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So, there's been many buffs and many nerfs that have been happening. In fact, there's been buffs and nerfs to various tanks. And let's start with the American tanks, for instance. The Sheridan is actually going to get a engine power nerf. So the horsepower is actually going from 485 horsepower to 455 horsepower. The acceleration on regular terrain, hard terrain, medium terrain, soft terrain has actually decreased as well. So it's been nerfed, believe it or not. And the gun handling has been nerfed, so you have slightly worse dispersion values when you're stationary and when you're on the move. However, the alpha damage has been buffed, so instead of having 560 on your standard rounds, you're going to have 570. Instead of having 490 on your premium rounds, you're going to have 495. And on your HE, instead of having 680, you're going to have 690, which is a nice little buff. It's not amazing, but it's decent enough. So that means the DPM will go up to 2651, which is a nice little buff. And that's, of course, considering you're not running gun rammer. But if you do run gun rammer, you get an extra 5% towards your DPM, which is nice. Now, although the acceleration has been decreased, the speed has been buffed, so it now goes from 65 kilometers an hour to 67 kilometers an hour, which is a nice little buff there. So it's not going to accelerate as fast as it used to, but it does mean it's going to have a higher top speed. Now, the M48 pattern, the reload has been nerfed, so instead of having 5.85 seconds, it's going to have 6.11 seconds, which is a little disappointing, but, I mean, the tank had 33. Let me restart. The tank had 3,488 DPM, so it made sense that it was going to be nerfed anyway. It's going to be 3,340 DPM, which is, you know, it's all right. It's still quite good for a Tier 10 medium tank. So, you know, it's not completely disappointing. However, there is new provisions and consumables that are getting added to this tank. So we're going to have gear oil provision, which will help increase engine power. And traverse speed, and you're also going to have reactive armor, which is very good, especially for a medium tank, so that's going to be a nice little addition there. Now the M60 has had a bit of nerfs and some buffs as well. So the reload has been nerfed, so it was 6.11 seconds in this current update. In the next one, in the previous update, in this update 11.3, it's 6.28 seconds, so ever so slightly worse DPM, but not really much of a difference. I mean, DPM's gone from 3,439 to 3,345, so not exactly a huge nerf, but ever so slight. The shell velocity has been nerfed, though. So the shell velocity in this instance has actually been nerfed quite a bit. You had 1,478 on your standard rounds, 1,173 on your premium, and 1,173 on your HE. And unfortunately now, it's gone down to 1,140 on your standard, 970 on your premium ammo, and 870 on your HE. And that's meters per second we're talking about. So that's quite a significant decrease. And what that means is that you're going to have to shoot, if you do own an M60, you're going to have to fire a gun earlier than what you usually would have fired had you been playing previously in the previous updates. It means you're going to have to fire the gun earlier. You're going to have to fire slightly in front of a tank if it's moving at a distance in order to get that shot in as you normally would have with the previous shell velocity. So, a bit of a nerf there. However, it does have an engine power boost consumable that's been added, which is nice. The improved engine power boost. And it's going to have sandbag armor provision, which is nice as well. It means that your maximum hit points are going to be 2,147, which very nice. There is going to be slight armor buff as well on the upper plate. So the upper plate is going to get a slight armor buff. The turret cheek and Cupola weak point, they are going to become larger, but the side armor on that angle has been improved, so it's going to sort of balance out. So some changes there on the M60. The T95E6 has had some buffs and nerfs as well. So the engine power has been nerfed, so it no longer has 750 horsepower, it's got 675 horsepower. So what that means is your base acceleration has been nerfed, and it also means that your traverse speed as well as your acceleration on various terrains has been nerfed as well. However, that being said, your traverse speed has actually been buffed. So although your acceleration when you're traversing and whatnot has been decreased, the traverse speed has been buffed. So on your hard terrain, medium terrain, soft terrain, we're going to see an increase of about 3 degrees for each one of those 3 terrains, which is really, really nice. And of course the Cupola on the front, so the big weak point on the front has been buffed from 220 millimeters of armor to 248 millimeters of armor, which is great. It means that it will be a lot more difficult to penetrate and a lot more difficult to actually hit if you're coming up or if you're going against these other tanks, which will be nice. So it's nice to have a bit more armor on that tank as well. Now the M6-Yo has been nerfed, but it's also been buffed. So the M6-Yo has a base time now, base aim time for the 105. It's going from 1.9 seconds to 2.45 seconds aim time, and the aim time for the 120mm gun, if you're running that one, it goes from 2.3 seconds to 2.7 seconds. So slightly worse aim time there. The upper plate has also been nerfed, so instead of having 270mm that it currently has, it's got 245mm of effective armor thickness, which is, I guess it needed to be nerfed. Maybe people were bouncing too many shots, and fair enough, it is what it is. However, the engine power has been buffed, so it looks like it's actually going to be faster and have better acceleration, which is great. So now it's going to have 765 horsepower. It's going to have better acceleration on all terrain thing. Ever so slight better acceleration, I should probably mention. It's not incredible. It's like 0.40 horsepower per ton increase on basically on hard, medium, and soft terrain. And the top speed has been increased from 35 kilometers an hour to 38 kilometers per hour. So nice little buff there, despite the nerfs on its armor. The T57 Heavy traverse speed has been nerfed. So now it's actually worse on traverse, and it's quite a significant nerf on his traverse right now. So you're getting basically almost 5 degrees less, degrees per second less than what you would have had on hard, medium, and soft terrain. Your base aim time has also been nerfed. So instead of having 1.7 seconds, it's going to be 1.95 seconds. So not entirely bad, but it's still noticeable to some extent. However, the top speed has been nerfed on the 57 Heavy. It goes from 35.4 kilometers an hour to 37 kilometers an hour, which is a nice little increase there. So no touches on the armor for the T57 Heavy, but again, some buffs and some nerfs. The Concept 1B, this is also a very interesting one. The gun handling has been nerfed, so it's been nerfed ever so slightly. The the values have been the same when you're stationary, but have slightly increased when you're on the move, which means that it's going to have a little bit less accuracy than it already has, ever so slightly. It's not really much. It's literally gone up by 0.02 value, so it's not really that much. So it's still pretty good in terms of dispersion. The reload time has been buffed though, so it was 7.74 seconds. Now it's 7.57 seconds, which is nice little buff there. And the DPM, of course, has been buffed now. So instead of having 2945 DPM, it's actually got 3012, which is very, very nice. It's great to see the Concept 1B getting the love that it deserves. And then, of course, we go to the XM66F, which is the Tier 10 Collector Tank Destroyer. That's a turreted as well. So the base aim time has been nerfed from 2.7 seconds to 2.78 seconds. So again, very, very slight nerf there. It may not be noticeable to a lot of people, but to some people who are very skilled, especially when playing this tank, you will slightly notice the ever so slight worse gun handling. The AP shell has now been changed to APCR, which is nice, which means that the shell velocity is definitely going to be increasing now, because when you got APCR, your shell velocity does increase compared to AP. The reload time has been buffed. Now, it no longer has a 7.5 second reload, a 7.05 second reload, I'm sure I add. It's now got 6.88 seconds, which is beautiful. And then the DPM now has been buffed from 3,488 to 3,575. Yeah, so this tank actually has a great amount of DPM. It's not the most OP in terms of DPM at tier 10. There are the Badger, for instance, has more DPM than this, but it's very, very close. Like, it's almost in second place. So it does have a great amount of DPM, and it's been buffed now. So there's that. And then we go to the T110E4. Now, the T110E4, if you remember when I made the video about the top 3 worst tanks at T10, I mentioned the T110E4. I played it again, and I realized that, you know what, it's actually a pretty decent tank. It's been nerfed. But it does have some buffs as well, so we'll go through the nerfs. So the traverse speed has been nerfed on hard, medium, and soft terrain. It's had a decrease of about 3 to 2 degrees per second on all terrains. Fair enough. Which means it will feel a bit slower when you're turning around. The engine power has been nerfed. It no longer has 935 horsepower. It's got 920 now. So it means the top speed is going to be slightly less now, and the acceleration is definitely going to be affected. However, you'd think, theoretically speaking, that the base acceleration would be nerfed. In fact, it's actually been buffed. It's been nerfed. Sorry, I was going to lead you on there. I was going to make a bit of a joke, but you know what? I'm not going to do that. It has been nerfed. So the acceleration has been nerfed. The engine power has been nerfed. The effective acceleration on all terrains has also been nerfed. And the maximum possible view range has also been nerfed from 274 meters to 263 meters of view range. So a bit less view range there, especially if you're trying to snipe, which is not ideal, but it is what it is. The base aim time has been buffed though. So it goes from 2.7 seconds to 2.5 seconds, which is a nice little buff there. And the sandbag armor provision has been added, which means that it goes from 2,080 hit points to 2,260 hit points, which is a nice little upgrade there, which means you can probably survive an extra shot or two, which is nice. Now the E3 has been nerfed. It has a less aim time now. Instead of having 1.7 second aim time, it's got 1.95 second aim time, which is a bit disappointing, but it is what it is. Ever so slight nerf. You also have a traverse speed nerf, so it's not as good traversing on all terrains. Your base aim time has also been nerfed from 2.5 seconds to 2.7 seconds, which again, and we're talking about when you're on the move. So you know, it is what it is. And the one I was talking about earlier, just now. Yeah, the 1.7 to 1. That's if you're stationary. So on the move has been nerfed, and when you're stationary has been nerfed. Now the reload time has been buffed though, so it now goes from 14.62 seconds to 14.38 seconds. That's of course if you're considering you're not running gun rammer. It's not the most amazing buff in terms of reload time, but it's ever so slight, which means that it does have 2,858 DPM, which is nice. And the penetration of the APCR shell has been buffed from 375 to 380 millimeter, which is very, very nice indeed. Now, let's go for the Soviet tanks really, really quickly. The T100 LT has had a dispersion accuracy nerf, which I guess it needed it. It now has a 0.326 dispersion instead of having the 0.371, which was nice. The reload time has been buffed though, so it now has a 5.42 second reload. DPM now goes up to 3,433, which is, again, I mean, for a light tank, that's insane. The penetration of standard AP shell has been buffed. It now has 235mm of pen. The premium AP has now been buffed to 285mm of pen. The base engine power has been buffed to 500 horsepower, which means the acceleration has also been buffed ever so slightly, as well as the effective acceleration on both hard, medium, and soft terrain, which is going to be nice. However, the top speed has not been increased, so there is that. The Object 140. About time this tank had some buffs. And some nerfs, I guess, to some extent. The base aim time has been nerfed. It's now 2.09 seconds. So, like, I mean, it's not really much of a difference, really. It's still quite accurate. The reload time has been nerfed, though. It's now 5.07 seconds, which is a bit disappointing because it was in the 4s, which was quite nice. The DPM has decreased. I mean, don't forget, the DPM on this tank was 3,737, which was quite insane. But now it's at 3,665, which, I mean, I guess to some extent it did needed the buff. It did needed the nerf, sorry, because it was quite cooked with that much DPM at T10. Like, holy shit. Anyway, the alpha damage, though, has been buffed, and we're talking about AP only here. You're now doing 310 rather than the 300 that you were doing before. Dispersion has been buffed now, so you got 0.29 dispersion, which is oh so nice, especially when you're on the move. The penetration of the AP shell has been buffed as well, so now it goes to 244 millimeters of pen, and the heat pen has been buffed to 298 millimeters of penetration. If you're running calibrated shells, that means you're going to have over 300 mils of pen, which is chef's kiss. The T62A, here we go. The T62A has only had nerfs. However, there has been an improved engine power boost consumable added, but I mean, not really much people are going to be running that anyway. The reload time has been nerfed, so it's now at 6.19 seconds, which is disappointing, but it is what it is. DPM has also been nerfed. It's now 3,197, which is disappointing as well. And the shell velocities has been nerfed significantly. So the standard rounds used to have 1,535 meters per second shell velocity. It's now at 990, which is insane. The other two shells are, not really much of a decrease, but the standard rounds have decreased significantly in shell velocity. So that's a big nerf right there, which means you can't basically do snapshots of the T62A anymore, which is disappointing. Now the Object 907, this is the T10 premium medium tank, or collector medium tank now. Reload time has been nerfed. It's now 5.76 seconds. DPM has been nerfed now to 3,332. The traverse speed has also been nerfed on all terrains. The engine power has been nerfed. It's now at 920 horsepower, which now means that the base acceleration has been nerfed as well on all the terrains. Now, maximum possible view range has also been buffed, so now it's at 302 meters, which is a nice little buff there, especially for a medium tank. The base engine power has been buffed. It's now at 796 horsepower. The base acceleration has also been buffed in regards to the effective acceleration, so ever so slight buffs there in regards to the acceleration on all the terrains, rather than just having just the regular acceleration on, without anything else. So that's nice little buffs there and some nerfs there. The T22 medium, here we go. This is the interesting one right here. The T22 medium dispersion has been nerfed, so it's now 0.335. You also have gun handling nerf, so again, not really much of a change, ever so slight. The shell velocities has been nerfed though. You no longer have 1,002 meters per second on your standard rounds. You actually have 890 now. So very similar to the T62A in the sense that you can't really snapshot as much anymore in the T22 medium. The lower plate armor has also been nerfed. It now has 250 millimeters in effective thickness, which is, I guess it needed it. Now the base engine power has been buffed. It's now almost 700 horsepower. It was at it's 699, but I mean at this point you might as well just call it 700. Acceleration has been buffed as well on all terrains, especially the effective acceleration. Reload has been buffed. It's now 5.42 seconds. It's now got 3,433 DPM, which is really nice. And you've got tungsten shells, which is a nice little addition there. The upper plate armor has been buffed from to 305 millimeters of effective thickness, which is insane. And the angled side armor has been buffed from to 87 millimeters in base thickness, which means that you're going to get a lot more bounces if you're side scraping this tank. The flat side armor has been buffed as well. It's now 90 millimeters in base thickness, which is really, really nice. So yeah, you're going to have some nice little buffs there. Now the IS-7 has been nerfed. It has been nerfed. The penetration on the AP has been nerfed to 551 millimeters. Not a huge deal, but still a nerf. The top speed has been nerfed. It's now 40 kilometers an hour. The top reverse speed is now 13 kilometers an hour. The lower plate armor has been nerfed to 245mm in effective thickness. However, it has been buffed in terms of its reload, so it's got 10.67 seconds now. And the DPM is now at 2,588. So not really much good news for the i7, unfortunately, but it is what it is, I guess. The IS4, finally, the IS4 is the highlight of this update. It has no nerfs, but it has buffs. The reload time is now 8.6 seconds. The DPM is now 2,930. The top speed is now 44 kilometers an hour. The hit points have been buffed to 2,450. The upper plate is now 295mm in effective thickness. The base engine power is now 870 horsepower, which also means now that the acceleration has been increased, including the effective acceleration on hard, medium, and soft terrain. So finally, the IS4 is giving the love that it's deserved. The Object 260. Dispersion has been nerfed. The traverse speed has also been nerfed, but the reload time has been buffed, so now it is 7.74 seconds. It now has 3100 DPM, which is really, really nice, and it does have compact stabilization mechanic added to the tank, which is really, really nice. So some nerfs, some buffs there, which are really nice. The Object 777 Mark II has a base aim time. It's been nerfed to 1.95 seconds. The traverse speed on medium terrain has been nerfed, so it is what it is. Terrain resistance has been buffed though on hard and on soft, and the reload time has been buffed to 8.26 seconds, which means that DPM is now 3,125, which is really, really nice. The Object 268 version 4, no nerfs, but it does have a penetration buff on its APCR to 270mm. The 268, the Object 268. I know it's a long video, guys. I know, trust me. It is a very long video. That's because there is a lot to go to. This is only part 1, by the way. This is only part 1. We're going to go to part 2 the next day. We're going to finish off with the Soviet tanks. The penetration on the AP for the Object 268 has been nerfed. It's now 295mm of pen. The heat penetration has been nerfed to 370mm. The traverse speed has been nerfed, and the dispersion has been buffed to 0.326, which is great. It means that you can slightly get better snapshots off, but it means that you won't have an incredible amount of heat pen. So if you're running calibrated shells, you're most likely going to get not the 400mm of pen that you used to get when you ran calibrated shells. So, a bit disappointing there. The Object 263, the traverse speed has been nerfed. I feel like this tank has really been put on the back burner. The traverse speed has been nerfed. So it's on hard, medium, and soft terrain, unfortunately, so it's not as fast as it used to be. The shell velocities has been nerfed quite significantly, so you can't snapshot as much as you used to with that 130mm gun. The base aim time has been buffed though, so it's now 2.19 seconds, which is really, really nice. And the standard shell has changed from APCR to AP, which means that that's probably the reason why the shell velocity has decreased. And then, of course, you've got your gun arc, left and right, has been buffed from 7 degrees either side to 8 degrees. So nice little buff there. But it does mean that you're going to be slightly slower and you don't have as much of the snapshot ability as you used to. So, guys, that is part 1 of everything you need to know in update 11.3. There is going to be a second part to this video. I'm going to upload in tomorrow, hopefully, breaking down the rest of the changes because there's so much to go through. It's unbelievable how much there is. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it's not too long, but there's so much changes that are happening. So anyway, I love you all. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
But yeah, thank you all for watching, and a massive thank you for all subscribing, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye bye.